Heavy rain in the city with a red rainstorm warning signal in force 3 times in half a day. All-day schools will be suspended tomorrow due to bad weather. And the Trump administration announces 50% levies on copper imports and sends tariff letters to 8 more countries. The city has been pounded by bouts of heavy rain today. Under the influence of the remnants of Danis, the city also saw the red rainstorm warning signal issued 3 times in half a day. Although Danis has weakened into a low-pressure area, its intensity remains. Since last night, heavy downpours have been lashing many parts of Hong Kong. At 8:35 a.m., the Hong Kong Observatory issued the amber rainstorm warning signal during the morning rush hour. About an hour later, the forecaster upgraded the alert to a red rainstorm warning signal. The observatory later downgraded the warning to amber, then issued another red rainstorm warning signal at 12:40 p.m., which lasted nearly 3 hours until 3:30.
That it's on and off, but I think it is good that they have like warning signals, because in Amsterdam they don't do that, so you have no idea.
It's a hassle, that's one thing, because we have to plan ahead of like as much as we can of what we can have, but I think it's also safe to say it's a good thing because they sort of gave us a more secure position where we can be able to make sure that the government is doing their job.
Most districts recorded about 50 millimeters of rainfall, while parts of the Western New Territories logged over 80 millimeters of precipitation. Records reveal that this marks the first time the observatory has issued a red rain warning 3 times within half a day. An HKO scientific officer said the low-pressure area associated with Danis has ushered in unstable weather to the Pearl River estuary. The observatory forecasts the remnants of Danis will continue to move across eastern Guangdong, skirting near Guangzhou afterwards. Heavy showers are expected to linger through tomorrow with squally thunderstorms. The unsettled weather is anticipated to continue through Saturday. Leung Wing-mo, spokesperson of the Hong Kong Meteorological Society, said, compounded by the effects of global warming, with more active and moist southwesterly winds and the remnants of Danis maintaining a vortex pattern, the bands of residual clouds are bringing heavier rain to Hong Kong and nearby regions. The government announced that all-day schools will be suspended on Friday due to bad weather. This move has caused the rescheduling of the Secondary 1 admissions registration, which was initially planned for Friday. Many schools also have to rearrange or cancel their post-exam activities and graduation ceremonies. Samantha Lee tells us more.
Early this morning, many schools were having classes while the red rainstorm warning signal was in force. In Kowloon Tong, many students rushed home during the heavy rain, despite calls by the Education Bureau that schools should ensure students return home under safe conditions. As for Friday's arrangement, the authorities have already announced school suspension. What do students think? These people expressed disappointment as she was going to buy a bouquet for her teacher. While this student said he was happy that they have one unexpected holiday, but he may have to do some supplementary exercises at home. This mother said the early announcement allowed her to take a day off to take care of her son tomorrow. In the past, the Education Bureau would determine whether to suspend schools a few hours before schools commenced. But this time, the newly established Committee on Handling Extreme Weather decided to suspend classes, stating that many schools have already started their summer vacation, and the impact of class suspension on students' learning and teaching is relatively small. Some in the education sector said the school suspension was not ideal for everyone. The Secondary 1 admissions registration is postponed to next Monday from this Friday. Lin Chunpeng, chairman of the Hong Kong Association of the Heads of Secondary Schools, said some schools have to conduct the pre-secondary 1 attainment test on Tuesday, the following day. However, he said the weather is beyond human control and believes it would be more chaotic if class suspension was made tomorrow. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Israel and Hamas may be able to reach a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal within 1 or 2 weeks, a senior Israeli official said. Speaking during Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's visit to Washington, the official said if the two sides agree to a 60-day ceasefire, Israel would use that time to offer a permanent ceasefire, which would require Hamas to disarm. This as the United States said it was imposing sanctions on Francesca Albanese, the United Nations Special Rapporteur on Human Rights in the occupied Palestinian territories, which has been critical of Israel's war in Gaza. Meanwhile, the conflict saw 40 more Palestinians killed overnight in Israeli airstrikes. Tracy Furness reports.
Huge clouds of smoke rose above Gaza City Wednesday after heavy Israeli airstrikes, even as negotiations to reach a ceasefire continue. Multiple explosions too in northern Gaza, as the Israeli military reported that additional troops have joined other forces in the enclave and have begun operations to encircle Beit Hanun. Hospital officials said the overnight Israeli airstrike killed at least 40 Palestinians across the Gaza Strip, including 10 from the same family who were sheltering in a tent in Muwasi. Mourners gathered outside Nasser Hospital in the southern Gazan city of Khan Yunis to hold funeral prayers for some of the victims. Gathering around the bodies and crying out as they bid painful goodbyes to their loved ones. This as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in Washington and met with US President Donald Trump, where he said discussions focus on efforts to free the hostages still held by Hamas. Netanyahu later spoke in the US Senate.
President Trump and I have a common goal. We want to achieve the release of our hostages. We want to end Hamas rule in Gaza. We want to make sure that Gaza does not pose a threat to Israel anymore.
Meanwhile, an Israeli official speaking anonymously said an outstanding issue in the discussions was Israel's desire to keep forces in the territory during a 60-day truce, including in the east-west axis that Israel calls the Morag Corridor. Keeping a foothold in the Morag Corridor is a key element in Israel's plan to drive hundreds of thousands of Palestinians south towards a narrow swath of land along the border with Egypt. Tracy Furness, TVB News.
The Ukrainian government has detained a Chinese father and son, both suspected of spying on Kyiv's Neptune anti-ship missile program. Counterintelligence officials arrested a 24-year-old former student after they provided him with technical documentation related to the production of Neptune missiles. They later detained his father, who had been living in China but visited Ukraine to personally coordinate his son's work, according to the Security Service of Ukraine. Agency officials allege the father had aimed to smuggle the Neptune documents to Chinese special services. The Neptune missile was used to destroy the flagship of Russia's Black Sea Fleet in the first months of the war. A spokesperson of the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs said they are verifying the facts of the case. And still ahead, China reaffirms support for ASEAN nations at the forum in Malaysia. National Security Police arrest 4 men on suspicion of subversion conspiracy. And HKU Med launches clinical trial using gene therapy to treat hepatitis B. Welcome back. Officers from the National Security Department of the Police have arrested 4 men on suspicion of conspiracy to commit subversion. Authorities say the 4 suspects are from an organization called the Hong Kong Democratic Independence Union, with the youngest one being 15 years old. Chief Superintendent Lee Kwai-wah talked about the roles played by the suspects.
To plan about how to solicit assistance or from the foreign countries. And even one of them have their own plans to organize or to provide some military training for their fellow members.
Police said the organization announced its establishment and recruitment plans on social media platform last November. In February this year, an online press conference was held in Taipei to announce the group's action program. It proposed a temporary national flag and national anthem for the so-called independent Hong Kong. The National Security Department took action on Wednesday and arrested 4 male suspects aged 15 to 47 on suspicion of conspiracy to commit subversion. A large steel beam fell down at the construction site on the artificial island of the Hong Kong port of the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, leaving 1 worker dead and another injured. The accident was captured by a dashboard camera at around 1 p.m. when the red rainstorm warning signal was issued. Firefighters tried to rescue the 2 workers hit by the steel beam, but 1 was found dead at the scene. The other suffered from limb injuries and was sent to North Lantau Hospital. Both are understood to be local workers. The police are investigating the cause of the accident. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi reaffirmed support for Association of Southeast Asian Nations and highlighted key milestones in bilateral cooperation during the annual Regional Foreign Minister Forum held in Malaysia. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov are also attending the event. Tariffs and the war in Ukraine are likely on the agenda. Danis has details.
Wang Yi arrived in Kuala Lumpur today for a flurry of high-level meetings with his ASEAN counterparts, advancing China's vision to promote the modernization process of Asia. Malaysia is holding the bloc's rotating chairmanship for 2025. The country's top diplomat, Mohammed Hassan, told reporters that Beijing had committed to take the lead to sign up to the Southeast Asian Nuclear Weapons Free Zone Treaty without reservations as soon as all documentation is ready. Speaking at the ASEAN post-ministerial conference with China, Mohammed urged countries to redouble efforts towards ensuring peace and stability in the region despite a turbulent global landscape.
Based on shared aspirations and norms, ASEAN and China have continued to ensure that our region remains peaceful, stable and prosperous. The fragility of global peace is becoming more apparent by the day. We must therefore ensure that geopolitical tensions do not escalate or threaten to undermine security and global trade in the South China Sea.
Wang said it's worth celebrating that ASEAN nations are exerting themselves to tackle challenges together, as he called for a more equitable world order built on multipolar and inclusive cooperation. This as China and ASEAN have finalized their negotiations on the version 3.0 free trade area, with formal signing expected later this year. Wang also highlighted the progress in the Code of Conduct for managing maritime disputes in the South China Sea and combating transnational crimes such as online gambling and telecom fraud. China has always regarded ASEAN as a priority in its neighborhood diplomacy, Wang noted, pledging to uphold the principles of good neighborliness, stability and shared prosperity. Danis, TVB News.
Christy Du, the Consul General of France in Hong Kong, said the city remains appealing to European businesses with its rule of law and international culture. Speaking with TVB News, the diplomat also noted the unique edge French tech businesses can offer to the city. With the tariff wars and geopolitical situation, more countries and companies are seeking to de-risk through diversifying their portfolios. Christy Du, the Consul General of France in Hong Kong, believes closer trade ties can be forged between France and Hong Kong.
There is this whole trend of diversification of investment, which would really create more opportunities of investment both ways.
She said Hong Kong boasts 350 companies from France, marking the second highest number of firms from EU member states after Germany. And Du says the allure remains.
The specificities of Hong Kong, including the rule of law, are very much attractive. As long as Hong Kong can maintain this international overture, we will, I think, certainly see more and more business opportunities. It's true that the world economy is quite sluggish and everybody is quite cautious with investment and recruitment. But we firmly believe that there are opportunities between France and Hong Kong, and so we really hope to see more investors, more business people, more delegations come to Hong Kong to see for themselves the opportunities.
Secretary for Commerce and Economic Development Algernon Yao undertook his visit to Paris, Toulouse, Bordeaux and cognac in France just last month. Apart from introducing the SAR's latest tax policies on wine and spirits, he met with the group chairman and CEO of France-based global aeronautic company Elior Group, which has recently set up an Asian headquarters in Hong Kong with the help of Invest Hong Kong.
We're very happy to welcome the Secretary for Commerce and Development and the Chairman of HKTDC to France. This investment by Elior is a very good story of the potential of investment between France and Hong Kong, and we hope that indeed it will emulate other such good stories of investment.
Noting a French presence in the city's startup sector in a community that they call La French Tech Hong Kong Shenzhen, Christy Du hopes more collaboration and exchanges could be on the way among tech players from all three sides. The Faculty of Medicine of the University of Hong Kong has launched a clinical trial using gene therapy to treat hepatitis B. Patients may not need to take Hep B medicine continuously thanks to the breakthrough method. Zoe Ye reports.
Around 400,000 people in Hong Kong are hepatitis B carriers, who see an elevated risk of liver-related illnesses. Notably, about 80% of liver cancer deaths in the city are linked to hepatitis B. The hepatitis B virus integrates into the DNA of liver cells, making it difficult to eradicate, and treatment requires long-term antiviral medication. A clinical drug developed by the Faculty of Medicine of the University of Hong Kong, administered intravenously, uses mRNA-based epigenetic gene therapy. It's able to modify and suppress the activity level of viral genes inside liver cells, blocking the production of liver-damaging proteins. The goal is to cut the risks of liver cirrhosis and liver cancer.
This gene therapy actually directly targets on the virus gene, and that would hopefully eradicate the virus inside the body. And this is
Professor Yuan said the treatment could replace the continuous intake of medicine. 50-year-old Hep B patient Mr. Chan is among the first batch of 9 participants in a trial which began in March. After completing his 3rd dose of clinical treatment, Mr. Chan said the side effects are similar to symptoms of a cold. The HKU research team says patients' preliminary results are positive. They aim to recruit about 40 patients to take part in the trial by the end of next year and hope the drugs will cost less than other mRNA-based medication. Zoe Ye, TVB News.
And that's the news. Thank you for watching.